Well, here we are again. And for whatever reason, I thought we would just have some fun and do an intro video to this new series. So I want to welcome you. My name is Farah Rose. People call me Sister Farah because I'm professed Franciscan. And I am going to lead us all on this interesting journey of looking at some of the things that we see very commonly in our culture today, in movies, in games, in books, that a lot of people aren't sure what they are. So hang tight. This is Sword the St. Michael Network. If you're just joining us, this is the channel that brings you interesting information on deliverance, exorcism, and healing via traditional Christian Catholic methods. And I'm Farah, your hostess. We are beginning a new series on this channel, and we thought we'd preempt the interesting first episode tomorrow night at 6 with a little bit of an introduction so that I can say hello to people and figure out what's going on in this new format that YouTube has. It's been a while. It's been over a year since we've been live. So as you all know, I am a religious demonologist, and I serve in many levels in the ministry of deliverance. And this series on Can Demons Do That? When we are presented in our world today with the fact that, Satan's not real, evil's not real, and then we have alternate realities of occult cults that worship strange things. We have movies that fill our minds and heads with all sorts of different ideas on how we can take control, how we can gain power. I thought it was a really good idea to parse out some of this information and let you know from my own experience, as well as some of the teachings of some wonderful exorcists, Fortea, Amorth, Ripperger, some of the greatest history written from doctors of the church, such as Aquinas, learned scholars, Amon. So I'm going to be quoting a lot of people that I have studied on the relationship and relational value of the demonic and evil spirits in the world. And as always, I want to remind everyone that, guess what? That battle was won. This is something that is not to be afraid of, but also not to be curious. One of the biggest reasons I really was just driven to start this series is because a lot of people think that it's okay to let your 5-year-old or your 10-year-old go to a friend's house and watch a movie like Candyman. Or how about Halloween? I mean, this is some of the stuff that we all grew up with. And many years ago, we didn't think anything of going to a slumber party and watching a horrible slasher movie, with blood flying everywhere and indiscreet shots that were less than modest. What we were not realizing at the time was that anything we put in our minds, the devil can and will, or I should say devils, they never come in singles, they can and will use against us. Sadly, we have to be on top now. We have to stay on top of everything that goes in our mind. And I have to say hi to a couple of people in chat. Bonjour, Mother Seraphim. It's so good to see you. God bless you for coming. Ashley, I don't always do this. I don't always get a chance to interact with my chat. My son has just figured out some new formats for me. And I'm sorry for all the noise around my head with my green screen. We're really working on that. It's been a while, and I'm so glad to be back in the saddle. Back to what I was talking about. You'll notice that no matter what sort of traumas we experience as children, or what sort of traumas that we see in movies or we read in books, those things are literally imprinted and ingrained on our minds. What does this cause? What is the problem with this? The problem with this is we live in a world that is fallen, and that is purely driven by the principalities and powers that watch us to trip us up at any moment. What does that mean to you and I? We must take custody of our eyes. What does that mean for the people that we love? We have to make sure that we warn them or give them a heads up so that they do not put something in their minds that they can never get out, and they can literally be tortured mentally, emotionally. So the topics I'm going to be covering are going to be of a mature nature, and they will be for 18 and over. And I say this because due to our society and the upside down nature of the lack of justice, the lack of right order, we have a lot of people that are, shall we say, at risk emotionally, mentally, and these are people 18 and under, and some adults too. So if you turn on one of this series, and I'm going to right now doing it twice a month, if you see that there's somebody that's come in the room that's younger, or maybe they are older and maybe they have a dementia, they can still be bothered by some of the topics that we talk about. So please, as we go forward with the series and talk about the demonic, talk about the common effects, talk about some of these symbolisms that we're seeing everywhere, let's be mindful of the people that are around us. Maybe you might be watching this on a bus and you don't have your headphones in. Please put your headphones in and make sure that I will not be putting images up that will be frightening, disturbing, but they may trigger some individuals. And since all of us may have one or two traumas that we've dealt with in the past, these traumas can be different and difficult for all of us to understand and know. So let's be mindful. So that said, what we're going to be exploring is the first episode is going to focus on a movie review that was, in my experience, one of the closest portrayals of demonic that I've seen ever in movies. Very, very, very rare. So, and it was so very close to reality. I thought it's time to let people know, if you watch this, it's a good idea to pray it and bite it out of your mind, because you don't want these images in there. But we're going to be covering other things too. There are people that have contacted me about certain movies that Disney has put out and said, was this potentially, was this voodoo? Was this witchcraft? What was that used? Disney in the last 20 years has become just an open-ended exploration tool of, they're just like anything goes, anything in, and if it's cool, if the kids are well wearing it, yes, exactly, Vivo Cristo Rey. Thanks, Elijah, great you could join us. We're looking at things that are admitted to movies and admitted to the common mainstream as, well, it's cool, people are talking about it, this will make money, because not only do we want to entertain our children that are 6, 8, 12, that are being exposed to this at school with their friends, etc., we want to get the adults too, because the adults are the ones that are paying for their kids, and the kids have the expendable incomes. These movies are hitting things out of the ballpark as far as false idol worship, as far as putting in our minds all sorts of images that are occult that don't belong in there. Now, what is this stuff going to do for us? This is going to cause us nightmares. It's going to cause us tensions, stomach aches. It's also going, and this is the biggest thing, people, we do not realize in our society, that when we allow images into our mind, whether they are of evil, whether they are of violence, such as some of these what are they, the video games that people, kill and call the policemen ugly names. We are desensitized. And this is what this series needs to do. I want you to look at this series as this is a form of advanced spiritual warfare. We are going to sensitize ourselves to just the smallest hint that we are being brainwashed. We are being subjected to something, dripped slowly, so that we can accept it as a good reality, when in fact it's not. So as we go forward together, I want to thank you so much for joining me in this live stream and this introduction to the new series, which will be called Can Demons Do That?, in deference to the fact that our culture, our movies, our books, the books that the children have at school, they're full of occult symbols. They're full of things that are out of right order. And whether you are religious or you have a faith in God or not, there's certain things that the laws of nature, they do apply. No matter how we may reject them, they will not go. They will not flow. So I'm hoping we can have some fun together. I would love it if everybody would give me a thumbs up, if they would like, share the video, and also if you could possibly put some suggestions in as I am looking at establishing topics so that I can start researching them and bringing them out as I do. I want to thank my Patreon members for your continued support and hanging in there with me as I figure out how to dive back into this after losing Ken so many Easters ago. It's been difficult. And I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. As always, God bless you, God keep you, and don't ever forget, the battle's already been won, and hopefully Swords of St. Michael is here to help you win the fight and win it right. So, God bless, take care, and we will see you back Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. Goodbye.